I'm Alexander Surge, yeah, it's 6:23 a.m., October 19th. Uh, so I was just analyzing something, which may be another piece of their global terrorist agenda. Uh, so these guys, they have this hustle, and they try to make this programming thing look desired. And they try to make their devices look desired, like they're enhancing people or improving people's lives. But what they're really doing is putting these devices in people's brains and body and holding people hostage covertly. Uh, they're shocking their brains covertly, shocking their hearts. They try basically what they're trying to do is get these implantable devices and brain computer interfaces in people's brains and body, so they can hold them hostage and harvest information and commit espionage, economic espionage, and war. But what's going on is these guys, I guess their hustle is to make this programming thing and their technology look desirable. And like they're programming people to do X, they're programming people to be athletes, they're programming people to be brilliant scientists, they're programming happiness, they're programming this, they're programming that. And it's all a hustle to make this programming thing look desirable so people want to get devices inside of them so that they can then put these devices inside of people's brains and nervous system. But they are deceitful and deceptive. So they want to put these devices in people's brains and nervous system not to help them, but to get them inside of them so that they can then hold them hostage covertly, abuse them covertly, harvest information from their brain via synthetic telepathy, and commit espionage, steal secrets, and basically turn them into a little puppet child through covert abuse and trying to harvest information for blackmail, knee bending, etc., etc. So that may be another component of their global terrorist agenda. So look for people lying to people, saying they program people to do X, Y, and Z. For instance, I make a lot of ideas. They lie to people and say they program me to make ideas. They never program me to make any ideas. And what they've been doing is slowly murdering me and, if anything, trying to hinder me from making ideas. Right now, they're playing with my lungs as well as my respiratory passages, trying to disrupt my breathing. So be wary for it. So they'll put devices in your different regions of your nervous system and try to influence your physiology. But they especially like to go for the brain, disrupt thinking, analysis, processing, memory, etc. For instance, this wheezing just abruptly arose. It wasn't going on, and I wouldn't wake up, so they kept bombarding me with tech. And it's getting worse. See the rage just see I'm almost gasping now. So out of the blue. Now now I'm clean. So now I'm not even gasping anymore. Now I can just breathe again. So they're actually, if you see the rate of change of the rate of change in the symptoms magnitude, that's unnatural. See, for a second I almost gasped. Now I'm clear, not even wheezing anymore. So they actually have a way to manipulate these implantable devices and influence, I guess, the strength of them, and which in turn influences how the nerves they're interacting with are stimulated. Uh, so they were just using on me, just not messing with my breathing. But uh, their goal is to make this programming thing look desirable. But the real goal, but what they're really trying to do is get these devices in people, hold them hostage covertly, abuse them into compliance, harvest information, commit espionage, lie potentially about the devices they're going to put in you because you don't know about the tech, you're unfamiliar with it. You wouldn't even know how to check. So they'll be like, oh, we'll give you this enhancement device and that enhancement device and this and that. You'll pay for it, is my theory. And then what they'll really do is, put all these devices that inhibit you, hinder you, endanger your life, devices that will aid them in abusing you into compliance, devices that will aid them in stealing information from you via synthetic telepathy, devices that they may create that can help them see through your eyes and harvest information that way. Basically, devices that will help them carry out whatever agenda they're seeking to carry out, from harvesting information to covert abuse, stealing whatever they want, basically. So be wary. That's a piece of this, but yeah, they're playing with my breathing right now. They're playing with my nasal pathway as well. I was perfectly clear this morning, and then I wouldn't wake up because they sit there jabbing my nervous system, trying to wake me up because of their illegal and selfish agendas, and they kept jabbing me. And then sometimes one of the ways they'll wake me up is they start messing with my nose, and then I'll get an abrupt onset of congestion, which will typically subside once I get out of the bed. It's still on right now. But yeah, they can even control the magnitude of congestion and even just make it clear within seconds. But they basically use all this tech to bombard your nervous system and piss you off and block you up. Basically, look for different ways to agitate and aggravate you. It's a form of neurophysiological torture as well. But this morning, I wasn't even congested. And then when I wouldn't get out of bed, they started messing with their little devices and then started trying to lock my nasal passages up and my lungs. And then for a second, they were really closing me up. Now I'm good. But, yeah, look at the days if I'm ever talking, I'm congested. And then once I get my day started, all of a sudden, it'll all be clear. And it's like I wasn't even congested. It doesn't follow the typical pattern of disease. It's unnatural. It's an unnatural pattern of congestion, unnatural pattern of certain behaviors of disease processes and other pathologies. So, yeah, look for that. That's one way to also identify these devices. If people are coming to you, for instance, in a hospital with more than unnatural disease patterns, etc., it should hint at this technology. But that's a piece of this, and especially duration and how the symptoms occur. If your nose gets abruptly congested within seconds, and it's so congested it's like closed, and you can barely breathe through it, and then it also abruptly subsides, that's very unnatural. Congestion doesn't behave in that manner. So that's a way to identify some of these things. At least some of the devices. They call them implantable devices. Or if you have an abrupt onset of gasping for air and you can barely breathe, and you start wheezing, and they can, and then it abruptly subsides, and then they can abruptly turn it back on, and it's like then it just goes away completely the rest of the day, and it's like it never happened. That should tell you they're using these devices. They do crazy stuff like that. Yeah, things don't just you don't get congested. It abruptly raises a magnitude to where you can't even breathe through your nose, and then abruptly subsides, maybe comes back abruptly, and then it's just gone completely the rest of the day, and like it didn't even happen. Same with the lung stuff, amongst other things. But look for that too. But yeah, regardless of all that, their goal is to try to get these devices in people's brains, and then maybe trying to make this programming thing look more than real, and then make it look desirable. But it's really a tactic to try to get devices for abuse inside of you, devices to impair memory, reason, logic, analysis in people, as well as getting devices that will aid them in harvesting information they seek. And that's a key point.